All right, it is 6:45. We will call the council meeting to order at this time. Thank you for your patience for our meeting prior to this. Welcome to those in the attendance, those watching at home, and to the council. At this time, we'll have the clerk call the roll.
Beeman?
Here.
DeBates?
Here.
Cummings?
Here.
Norrell?
Here.
Bolt?
Here.
Ruckelberg?
Here.
Sikowitz?
Here.
Bry?
Here.
Schley?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. At this time, will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and if you could remain standing for a prayer by our council president, Bill Schley. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, with spring finally arriving, we are blessed with a season of change, growth, and new beginnings. Our council is in a similar place, with some new alders and new growth and change on the horizon. Please guide our hearts and minds as we continue to discuss new ideas to further the growth and success of our city and help us serve with dignity, grace, and honor. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. All right, thank you, Council President Schley. We have two presentations this evening, two proclamations for the City of Manitowoc. The first one is for Building Safety Month. I would invite our Lead Building Inspector Bill Nichols up to receive the proclamation and maybe say a few words because he likes to speak. Couple. Well, you got the longest proclamation I've ever read, so bear with me. You guys must do a lot. So it reads, whereas the City of Manitowoc is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and economic value of the homes, buildings, and infrastructure that serve our citizens both in everyday life and in times of disaster. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, and federal officials that are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, play. And whereas our nation benefits economically and technologically from using the international codes that are developed by a national volunteer consensus codes and standards developing organization, our government is able to avoid the high cost and complexity of developing and maintaining these codes, which are the most widely adopted building safety and fire prevention codes in the world. And whereas these modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as snowstorms, tornadoes, wildfires, floods. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown protectors of public safety, our local code officials, who assure our safe, sustainable, energy efficient, and livable buildings that are essential to America's prosperity. And whereas Prevent, Prepare, Protect, Building Codes Save is the theme for Building Safety Month 2024 and encourages all Americans to raise awareness about the importance of safe and resilient construction, fire prevention, disaster mitigation, energy conservation, water safety, training the next generation, and new technologies in the construction industry. And whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential services provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now therefore, I, Justin Nichols, Mayor of the City of Manitowoc, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2024 as Building Safety Month. Accordingly, I encourage our citizens to join with their communities in participation in Building Safety Month activities.
You missed the other half.
Bill, if you'd like to say a few words. Yeah, just says you do a lot.
Thank you very much, and I'm honored to accept that proclamation, and more than honored to make the buildings and all of Manitowoc as safe as possible for everybody that's living here. So With that, thank you.
As I rattle off a bunch of businesses in a few minutes with the state of the city, it's going to be ever clear how important our building inspection department is and how much work they actually have in the city of Manitowoc, especially in today's day and age. Our next proclamation is for National Travel and Tourism Week. I'll invite Courtney Hanson, our tourism director, up with Visit Manitowoc to receive this proclamation, and she'll say a few words about things that are happening this week. It reads, whereas the travel industry fuels every industry and will continue to be an essential part of the city of Manitowoc's economy, development, and workforce. And whereas travel is an economic powerhouse for every state and destination across the country, with an economic output of $2.8 trillion, supporting 15 million American jobs, and locally in 2022, or 23, creating an economic impact of $216 million. Whereas travel spending supports vibrant and safe communities in the city of Manitowoc and across the United States by generating $89 billion in state and local tax revenue in 2023 to support essential services such as education, emergency response, public safety, and more. Whereas travel enables success for all industries, including manufacturing, agriculture, defense, healthcare, and more by driving sales growth, innovation, education, and operations that move our economy, our nation, and in the city of Manitowoc forward. Whereas the City of Manitowoc's Department of Tourism is committed to working together with tourism partners across the region to continue to grow the local travel industry. And whereas travel is an essential industry, and we must continue to communicate that growing travel leads to economic growth, benefits businesses, and fosters mutual understanding. Now therefore, I, Justin Nichols, Mayor of the City of Manitowoc, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through the 24th, 2024 as National Travel and Tourism Week in the City of Manitowoc, and urge the citizens of the City of Manitowoc to join me in recognizing the critical role this industry plays in our community. Courtney?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for taking the time to proclaim this week National Travel and Tourism Week. And as you heard from those stats in the proclamation, the tourism industry is not only one of the largest economic forces locally, but makes a greater impact than you might think. The city's tourism department, Visit Manitowoc, is excited to once again be joining our peers across the state and country in celebrating this robust and growing tourism industry throughout the week. We celebrate this at such a great time. As many of you know, on Friday we kicked off the sailing season for the SS Badger and are thrilled that this ship made an earlier than expected return as she plays a huge role in our tourism economy. We're gearing up for a busy tourism season and are looking forward to welcoming visitors to experience our can't miss summer events, new businesses and experiences, and much loved favorites. This week, in addition to hosting our annual tourism breakfast with all of our partners tomorrow morning, we'll be thanking those frontline tourism employees who staff our hotels, boutiques, attractions, and coffee shops, and who are the face of Manitowoc for many visitors who come into our community. 2023 was a great year, and with everything we have on the horizon this year and even further ahead at major events on the calendar in 2025, Visit Manitowoc is confident that some of the best years for tourism are to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. That all exhausts our presentations. We'll move into our public hearings. The first one to be held related to proposed revenue bond financing for the Manitowoc Lutheran High School Federation Incorporated. This has come before council before. Sean is here. We do also have a representative from Manitowoc Lutheran, Kevin Book, here, if there are any questions of the council of those two at this time. Otherwise, we have seen this already. It's just finalizing it here with the public hearing. Any questions for either of those two at this time? If not, then this is a public hearing for this specific subject matter, so I will open it up if anyone is interested in speaking on this specific subject matter. Anyone interested in speaking? Twice? 3 times? We'll close this public hearing, and that'll come to the council tonight for a vote. The next public hearing is for the purpose of hearing any and all interested parties in the matter of a proposed change in zone from R4 single and 2 family residential to B2 neighborhood business for the north half of property located at 1710 and 1716 Western Avenue. Forgot to have you read a proof of publication. You want to read the last one too while you're at it?
Approve of publication for the last one was published in the Herald Times on May 13th, and for this public hearing, it was published in the Herald Times on May 6th and May 13th.
Thank you. Adam Tagan.
All right, as noted, this is a rezoning from a single-family and two-family residential district to a neighborhood business district. The purpose of the rezoning is for the removal of a single-family home and the establishment of a parking lot to support the Westfield Bar. The bar owns this property. The general area, all other corners in this area are Zone B2, so this is considered consistent with the zonings in the area as well as the comprehensive plan. This went forward through a informational meeting at the Planning Commission. They voted unanimously in support of the request. At that informational meeting, there was one neighbor who expressed just some general concerns with security and safety in the general area, but nothing specific to the rezoning request.
Thank you, Adam. Are there any questions for Adam at this time from the council? Seeing none, then this is a public hearing for this specific subject matter. If anyone is interested in speaking on this specific subject matter, you may do so at this time. Anyone interested in speaking? Going twice. We will close this public hearing, and again, that'll come before the council later. Next item on the agenda is item F, public input. If there's anyone here from the public interested in speaking on anything germane to the business of the city of Manitowoc, you may do so at this time. Anyone interested in speaking? Yes, please just state your name and address for the record.
Brandon Meyer. Good evening, Mayor, members of the Common Council. Before I get into my main topic, I just want to give a brief thank you to Brett Vanderkin for serving on the City Council. He's a true patriot who cares about his country and the city. He did a lot of hard work, and I wish him good luck in whatever he decides to do next. Now to my main topic, I come here tonight to speak about something I witnessed recently that has gone unaddressed. Not long ago, I took a trip to the Manitowoc Public Library, and I noticed a staff member was wearing a shirt about banned books. I wrote a letter to the library board about this attached to their April 22nd, 2024 meeting agenda. The gist of this letter is that a book ban is a highly political rallying cry used by groomers to shame people who speak against having pornography and books about gender identity and transgenderism available to children. Since this is a taxpayer-funded public entity, that sure was not appropriate decorum, and the library should not be involved with political agendas encouraged by local special interest groups. How did the library board respond to my letter? This is what happened. Manitowoc Library Board President Darian Kotorovic said the board received one correspondence that month, looked around to see if anyone else wanted to speak on it, then moved on. No comments. As much as these people talk about inclusivity, that was not very inclusive about my letter, ignoring it because it does not go along with a president's political agenda. If a board member will not address concerns from the public, then that member should not be on that board. This is what you get when you have partisan special interest groups like Ally controlling government boards. I've been made aware that the process for appointing people to city boards is that the mayor suggests who he would like to appoint to the board and the council approves it. I say it is time for new appointments if the library board cannot address something as simple as a shirt. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else interested in speaking? I saw a hand over here. Yes, please, just state your name and address for the record.
Sarah Musial and Stevens Alexis, 1112 North 12th Street.
Hello, everyone. So today we are here on behalf of Manitowoc Peddlers. We do own the Pedal Pub down here in Manitowoc, and we do have a couple of requests that is on the table tonight, and we wanted to make sure that we explain what we are currently trying to do with the Pedal Pub. We want to expand our schedule and also provide a way for including some of the businesses in Manitowoc, downtown Manitowoc, especially a lot of coffee shops that we know that we want to work with, not just bars, and we want to work on a schedule that would allow us to
Open up to like a different demographic.
Right, to open up to a different demographic, so not just like bars and you know, and this kind of stuff. So
So we're asking, and it's on the agenda, to allow us to be on the road Saturdays and Sundays, starting at 8 a.m. versus 10 a.m., and I guess including federal holidays. And we're also asking for, we submitted a new route that we would like to get approved to include Jen's Java on Washington Street. We already have an approved route on Washington Street from
from 12,
10th to 8th.
yep.
So we're just looking to get it extended a little bit so we can include them in one of our stops downtown.
One of the concerns that was raised on the last meeting by the chief of police was that the incline that we do have in our route, this will not be a major issue since we do have an assist motor that will allow us to, you know, go up the inclines
On 8th Street.
on 8th Street mainly.
Thank you.
Good, yeah, thank you. That is on the agenda, so thank you. That'll be addressed under the Finance Committee. Is there anyone else interested in speaking for public input? Anyone else interested in speaking for public input? One more time. I'll close public input, and we will move it to, oh, that's me, never mind. So fortunately for you, Alderman Reckelberg, I think you said at the Finance Committee you don't like PowerPoints. So fortunately for you, it didn't work up here at the last minute, so you're welcome. And I'll try and keep this brief because I will share most of this, all of this information on social media and with the news outlets so the public can see as well after this for those who aren't able to view it. But annually, we address kind of a few things that are happening in the city, some great things that are going on, and some challenges. I would argue that the state of the city government is excellent. A few years ago, I stood up here and said we were going through a renaissance as a community, really, after Manitowoc Company and Miro, and that generation really started seeing a decline. And back in the early 2010s, late 2000s, early 2010s, we really sat, and there's a few people here from that era, we really sat back and said, what is Manitowoc going to become now? A lot of people thought that we would become a ghost town, that without Manitowoc Company and Miro, we're nothing. It's amazing what has changed in a decade in the city of Manitowoc, and we are the furthest from a ghost town. In fact, I would argue today we are stronger than we ever were with the diversity of industry that we have now, with the opportunities that we have now, with the risks that the council has taken over the last few years, like purchasing properties, starting a blight program, investing in downtown, investing in our parks, investing in our roads, things that other government entities around us, very close to us, are struggling with right now. We're looking at a lot of positives. We have challenges, and I'll address a few of those as we talk here today. But our opportunities and our strengths are far, far outweighing any challenge that we have right now in the city of Manitowoc, and that's exciting. Starting with business growth, I won't go line by line, but as we know, the industrial park is full. Companies like Ammo, Redline Plastics, Dram, Bank First, Colorcraft, K-Sun, all added on or built new in the industrial park within the last 24 months. Those are all brand new businesses. Some of them are long-term businesses in the city, but Ammo, Redline, brand new businesses that opened up in the industrial park. We're full. Manitowoc Tool and Manufacturing, the most recent to start in the industrial park, or build in the industrial park, 40,000 square feet, is adding on already another 50,000 square feet as we speak. That's a long-time company in the city that took basically the last largest plot in the industrial park. And as you're all well aware, we bought 90 acres from the county not long ago to expand our industrial park along the interstate on Vebon and Heck, that's where I would have the PowerPoint. Hecker and Vibon, thank you, that we have a prime opportunity to expand our industrial park. If a business came to us today, we'd be able to fill their needs immediately. FedEx, Lakeside Foods, others that are growing in the community around us over the last 2 years. Brees, ACK, Wisconsin Aluminum Foundry just completed their largest expansion in history on 16th Street. Again, we were worried about what would be left of Miro and Manitowoc Company. Miro left us with a pretty big building that we had to deal with. Manitowoc Company could have left us with some pretty big buildings, but places like Robinson Metal, Alliance have moved in and are thriving, and in fact, adding on in some case to their facilities. Robinson have already added on. We were also concerned that, that Manitowoc name on all those cranes, we're never gonna see that again. And that may be the case, but Konecrane is building 2 cranes right now for the military that'll be shipped out to Washington State, the first one to Washington State, and the second one to Pearl Harbor. If there's no better connection to our history as a community of boat building and our contribution to World War II than building a crane in Manitowoc that's being sent to Pearl Harbor, I don't know what else is a cool resurgence and a cool opportunity for our future. For the first time in our history last year, our equalized value as a community hit over $3 billion. The value of everything in our community hit over $3 billion. To give you an idea, in 2019, we were at $2 billion. In just 5 years, we increased $1 billion. In 2001, we were at 1.4. That was, how long ago was that? 20 years ago. And in the span of 5 years, actually less than 5 years, we increased $1 billion in this community. That's growth. Those are real numbers that you cannot deny. And it's because of every business and every other small business that has added on that has made that possible. We've seen small business growth. We're worried, we have the Yonkers Mall that never took off, and we were worried about what's gonna happen with Shopko. 3 businesses in there now with Dunham, Harbor Freight, and Ross Dress for Less. Pizza Hut might actually be going there pretty soon too. So that dead mall, there's activity and growth over there. During the pandemic, we saw nationwide a lot of small businesses unfortunately shutter. We didn't see that in the city of Manitowoc. In fact, we've seen a lot added and a lot grow and a lot invest in their businesses. Housing continues to be a main focus, and while there is no magic bullet for housing, I want to tell the citizens that I think the council really has taken a serious view on this, and while for the last 100 years as a community, councils and mayors have really just focused on how can we get that business to the city of Manitowoc? What can we do to incentivize that business to move here because we need that business? We've done a good job, or how do we keep that business? We've done a great job of that, but if the people who work at those businesses don't have a place to live, doesn't matter how many businesses we can say we brought here. You're not gonna get any more, and you're not gonna see the ones here expand here if they don't have housing. Housing is the #1, quality of life, if they have a great education system. So we do have a lot. Actually, this year alone, we've seen more new homes being built than in a long time. We have a 30-plus single-family development going up at the old Memorial Hospital on Reed Avenue, Mike Howe and his development. We have homes in Silver Ridge and others that are popping up and filling up old subdivisions or recent subdivisions, but that are filling them up. Pop subdivision, council approved extending the road to complete those handful plus of homes that'll fill up the Pop subdivision on the south side of town. And we're starting to see more options and opportunities for senior housing, for workforce housing, for income-based housing at the old Santa's Best Tinsel Manufacturing, at the Miro site, and potentially at the Mid-City Mall site. Housing is important, and no one really has the magic 8 ball on how to address the cost of living right now, and for communities like Manitowoc, it's difficult. Property values are increasing nationwide. We all know that. Rents are increasing everywhere. We know that. How can we become a community that has an opportunity for everyone to have housing? I think we're on the right track, and I think the council understands that it's not just chasing that business anymore. How do we put our money where our mouth is and our priorities to grow our housing problem and not just focus on getting our businesses to move here? Downtown continues to be a priority, but I'm proud to say that I think downtown really is starting to take over for itself. We've seen so much. We've seen way more private investment in downtown than any public investment, and that was the goal. We put our money where our mouth was. We made it a priority, and we're starting to see a vast majority of private development. Mostly the new development in the River Point district. Of course, the River North apartments are open, 87 units, and 100% occupied. We have a lot of money going in there right now. If you go down there today, you'll see Vinton down there doing a lot of work for the next phase of utilities and road construction. A few buildings at Braun Building were taken down recently, and you'll see that this summer the public amenities will be able to be utilized with the boat docking, kayak launch, fire pit down there, and the trails that go around the property. It really is going to be a beautiful area downtown, and downtown really is starting to take over for itself. Tourism continues to thrive in the city of Manitowoc. We just heard from Courtney. But the fact that we're getting 2 new hotels, I think, speaks volumes to the fact that tourism is thriving in the city of Manitowoc. Business is thriving in the city of Manitowoc. Hotels don't just open for tourism, they open for business needs in a lot of cases. So our first hotel will be a Hampton. That should be starting construction very soon here. There is in that agreement a new restaurant. I can't tell you what the restaurant is right now, but that restaurant has to be open by 2026. And the second hotel, which would be a Marriott branded, would have to open by 2030. The Hampton is an 84-unit hotel on the interstate by Lakeside Foods headquarters. Baymont, even, which changed to the Inn on Maritime Bay, invested a lot of money in our downtown hotel, and it is night and day difference. And we have a beautiful downtown hotel once again that just actually won an award for what they did. The marina is seeing improvements and upgrades. We had a $439,000 grant that was for replacing the A dock. The council also approved $1 million for that dock, so we should start seeing construction of that after this season, ready for next season, and continued phasing of docks being replaced as they are 40-plus years old already. But we have a state-of-the-art marina. You ask anyone up and down the shoreline, folks are coming here from all over to come to our marina, not just because it's cost efficient, but because it's in great shape and it's taken care of, and they have a great place to visit. Parks, the council's also invested a lot in parks. When I talk about that renaissance and change from what we were as a community to what we are, the council really put a huge emphasis on quality of life. It's not just being the lowest taxed city in the state. It's not just providing the bare minimum so it's the lowest taxed. It's if you're going to tax a little higher, what value are you getting out of it? And how is the community affected by it and growing? Parks was one area that the council really focused on and put a huge investment in. We have 36 parks throughout the city of Manitowoc. About a dozen or so of them are prime parks that are large. We've invested in every single one of those in the last couple of years. We have work being done right now at the Lincoln Park tennis courts. We're improving roadways in our parks, things like that. We're adding pickleball at Ream Park, which should open up pretty soon. We've put money into smaller parks. I don't remember. I think it might have been Alderman Cummings. One of you thought we should raise the amount every year that we levy, about $20,000, and let's start focusing on smaller parks like Riverview Park, Lower Shooty, Ream, Halverson, Pulaski. All of those parks have new equipment. We've invested in the restrooms to clean them up. We're investing in security. Cameras are going in at several parks to help with safety. But the council really has done, I think, an excellent thing of saying, if we're gonna pay $1 more a year in taxes, but we can put money into our parks for our families and to be an attractive community, it's worth it. And it's paying off. A lot of our parks are being replaced with equipment and really our prime parks. I'm proud of that. Road projects, of course, I'll just rattle down the list. This year, we have MacArthur Drive, Glenview Drive, Franklin Street just started today from South 21st to 26th. We're looking at Franklin Street as a 3-phase project downtown here, and then in between, we're debating whether or not to do it before or after Waldo Boulevard, which is in Washington Street, which is in 2029. But it'll be a 3-phase section. That one started today. Elder Drive, River Court, 3 alleys that we're doing on the north side of the city between 14th, 15th-ish. South 19th, that is the Pop subdivision. Vebon Street from South 10th to the railroad tracks, which is about 26th Street. That'll start after Memorial Day here. That's a joint project with the county. Of course, the large project, Rapids Road, which already one side has opened up. So that should be completed in August. Our finances, just real quick at the city. I think we're in great shape. You look at other local government entities that aren't necessarily in the best of shape, and I'm not gonna say we're rosy and perfect, that we don't have some obligations that we have to start talking about. Just for an example, the Finance Committee tonight talked about replacing 2 fire engines and the ladder truck, a multitude of millions of dollars. Our equipment, we have a rotation for the police department, for example, of every 3 years for new vehicles, because you think of it, they're running 24 hours a day. We don't necessarily have those same replacements for larger equipment or for buildings. We were somewhat fortunate when I started that this building, even though put us in debt and we had to deal with that. This building, the library, public safety building are all relatively new, but it's starting to cost some money to put into it. Just for example, the Ryer West Art Museum needs a new roof, a couple $100,000 that you won't see the roof really, but it'll protect the art that you're gonna be looking at. Replacement programs like that, it's nowhere to the magnitude of what the school district is looking at. But our finances, we're continue to remain our AA negative stable condition with our finances, which is very good. Council has taken the position that rather, as I said, raise taxes 1% a year, have some reserve funds built up for when there are problems versus having a crisis and having to figure out what to do. We've built up reserves in our snow budget. Now, this year we built up a lot because we didn't have too many snow incidents, which is good. We have them in our personnel side just in case something happens and we need it on the personnel side. We have fund balances for a plethora of the marina, a plethora of different things that we want to make sure that we're planning for. Even EMS equipment, we have fund balances for. It's just when large projects come up. So I would say our finances are in very good shape, in very great shape for the city of Manitowoc. And then finally, 2 areas of the city that have really just been an eyesore, and we don't know what was going to happen with them. By the end of the year, I think we'll have a completely different look. The Mid-City Mall, we announced just recently that the city of Manitowoc purchased the entire property, all 36 acres. We worked with our utility to be able to purchase it quickly. The utility has some funds that they have set aside for future capital needs that they don't need for a couple years, so we're able to utilize that and pay them back as we generate new taxes. Great opportunity. Not many cities can do that. And it's not going to affect the taxpayer or the ratepayer because of what the council approved unanimously. What's happening right now, actually, if you drive there right now, you'll see that they're starting the demolition of the parking lots. The old sign that said the new Lakeshore Plaza or whatever for the last 20 years is down. That'll all come down. All the concrete or the asphalt will be ripped up in the next few weeks here. seeded and flattened. The Yonkers Mall will be demolished over the next few months here, but by the end of the year, we should see a flat piece of property for development. We are talking to developers. There is a lot of interest in this site. It's a beautiful site. The one thing I would caution to myself and the council is that this, whatever gets put there is going to be there for the next 100 years. Let's do it right. It might be easiest to say, well, this first one came and let's just grab it and go. We have an opportunity to really craft that side of the city for the next 100 years, and we got to do it right. So while we've been patient for the last 15 years to get to this point, I think there's a lot of great opportunities for that site to address our housing needs, to address getting more commerce and activity to the northeast side of the city that is so beautiful, a block off the lake and the Mariners Trail. So many great opportunities. We are proposing a TIF district that the council will see to help support all the growth and development that'll be coming to Plan Commission on Wednesday and council moving forward here. And then the big news that I can announce tonight on the Muro property. One of the most difficult things to get development there is really getting the site prepared. Mid-City Mall is clean. It's pretty flat. All we gotta do is tear down a building that's relatively cheaper, way cheaper than the Muro building was. That site's pretty easy, actually, in the grand scheme of things. Muro and the location is great for Mid-City Mall. Muro poses so many different challenges with environmental. We've done a lot of cleanup there already. The building itself was almost 1 million square feet that needed to be tore down and had its own problems. But one of the major hurdles for development, and the council knows this with the development agreement for the folks who wanted to go there, was getting the site ready, cleaning it out completely and getting it flat and ready for development. So I'm proud to announce that today, finally, the federal government, through the bipartisan infrastructure bill, announced $1,961,500 for final cleanup and development on the Washington Street side, pretty much 60% plus of the property, the developed site, Washington Street side. What that entails is the demolition and crushing of the remaining concrete building slab that's there in that area, excavation of the PCBs and VOCs, the soils that are there, and landfill, demolition and abandonment of the utility tunnel network that is under there. They would place compact crushed concrete and construct engineered barrier in what will be the parking lot for the development, excavation of everything, and importing clean fill to basically get us a clean green site on there. This would all start, more than likely, if all goes well, we have the money, this fall. So we could see both the Mid-City Mall site and the Muro site clean and looking way better than it is today. We do have, as the council is aware, a development agreement with a workforce housing apartment complex. It would be about a 59-unit apartment complex. The last thing that they have to do is reapply for the tax credits, which will come up early 2025. But with this last piece, really, there should be absolutely, this was the only piece that the reason it didn't work last time, because this $2 million chunk was just not enough to justify the project, even with the tax credits. Here now, with this, the tax credits that were already awarded and will be available next year, we should see those Maritime Flats, roughly 59 apartment complex on Washington Street, starting in mid-2025, hopefully. So we're actually seeing development in action at the Muro site, and it'll be much cleaner and look much better, at least, no matter what happens now with this almost $2 million federal grant announcement that just came out today. Adam thought that I would announce this before they allowed me to because of the state of the city tonight, and fortunately I was able to. Again, I think the state of our city is very strong. We have so many great things. We have our past to be proud of, but I think it's our future that's really going to define us. And just these few things alone here today really is cool, exciting for the city of Manitowoc. Thank you to the council for your continued support of all this. Really, citizens, we got a great council, we do. They take the time and effort to go through all this. The Mid-City Mall site was a unanimous vote. And what didn't happen just like that. But when the opportunity was presented, they have talked about this for years and years of what's going to happen. They took their time, they did it right, and the citizens are going to benefit from it. So thank you to the staff also. All these grants that we're getting, the marina, this $2 million one, we've gotten site assessment grants for Miro, for River Point, up and down. The staff has done a great job. The building inspection department has done a great job with all this new growth. The Parks Department, now that it's fully staffed, has gotten grants for the trails that are going up the old Elks Club Bay Shore. You know, a few years ago, and some of you who are on council can remember, we had to cut a lot of staff, and it was unfortunate, and a lot of those things fell by the wayside. Now that we are fully staffed and have invested in parks, in community development, in building inspection, in every department that we have, we're seeing the benefits of it. You know, these grants don't just happen, and there are very competitive grants. Staff are the ones that do the job and get it done. So kudos to the staff in every department also for making this a well-run machine. That is the state of our city. I think it's pretty good. Thank you. And we saved you from a PowerPoint, even though I probably went longer than the PowerPoint would have let me. All right, next on the agenda, we have appointments. We'll start with council appointments, and I'm going to ask before I appoint, as Alderman Vanderkin has resigned, I only have him on Board of Review. Is there an alderman who is an alternate who would like to take that permanent spot? That is a no. So Bride, Debates, Sitkwitz, Schleier, Norrell. Is there any one of you that would like to step up? Bill? All right, then I'll appoint you in Alderman Vanderkin's spot. Yeah, that's all right. So I'll go down the list to the Library Board, Alderman Brett Norrell. Board of Review, Alderman Schley, Beeman, Cummings, Bolt, and Reckelberg. And as alternates, Bride, Debates, Sitkwitz, and Norrell. Community Development Authority, Cummings and Bolt. Crime Prevention Committee, Norrell. Harbor Commission, Schley. IDC, Bry and Bolt. Tree Commission, Debates. Plan Commission is already done. MPU Commission, Sitkowitz. Manitowoc International Relations Association, Cummings. Board of Public Works, Reckelberg, Beeman, and Norrell. RAR West Art Museum Board, Schley. Room Tax Commission, I'm not appointing tonight. I'll have a note of that in the other one. Those are just the current ones that are on there, and they will just remain, because if you're not unappointed or reappointed, you just remain, and I'll explain that in a second. So not those two right now. Wisconsin Maritime Museum Board, Reckelberg. Transit Commission, Debates. Progress Lakeshore Board, Schley, and Capital Civic Center Board, Reckelberg. I would look for a motion to approve and discussion if you wish.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. All right, citizen appointments, and I'll go to so you can see my email there. Room Tax Commission, it's not set that it has to be council members. You can have Room Tax Commission of citizens. We have one citizen, for example. Just gonna, we have our court decision with the MAVCB tomorrow. Just gonna wait and see kind of how that pans out to figure out the type of commission that we would like to see and who would best serve on it. So I'll have appointments for that one in June. I do not have appointments for Board of Ethics. We've talked for a while about completely revamping our ethics code and how the Board of Ethics, how the membership is made up. That's going to be a goal for our city attorney coming up here to revamp that. So the Board of Ethics still exists. And I will, if something does come up, I will appoint people, obviously, to serve on it under the current ethics rules, but I'd rather do it right and revamp everything. Transit Commission, I'm looking for people as well. I'm not appointing anyone right now. And IDC and CDA have some openings, so just so you're aware. So then, Brownfield, so these are all citizen members. Brownfield Advisory, Abby Quistorf, Dennis Teener, Adam Tagan, Elizabeth Runge, and Jamie Zastro. Building Boards of Appeals, Curtis Kirscher and Paul Brown. Community Development Authority, Gene Maloney and Dennis Teener. All these are mostly reappointments, just so you're aware. Committee on Aging, Debbie Bonk, Alan Brixius, Al Chizik, Lynn Kalista, June Kramer, Ruth Malzen, and Mary Schultz. Crime Prevention Committee, Haley Bauer, Nicole Palma, April Eisenchenk, Carrie Yeager, Violet Sally, Mason Benzinger, and Amy Benzinger. Harbor Commission, Doug Boris, Scott McMeans, Jeremy Anderson, and Christopher Bourne. Industrial Development Corporation, Tim Hefner. Library Board, Christopher Abel, that's a reappointment. And then the other two are citizen appointments, just so you're aware. Darian Kotarabek, who already serves but was on there as council, so she would be a citizen member. And Basil Bushko. Manitowoc International Relations Association, Canoe, Hang Vu, and Carrie Estrella. Municipal Tree Commission, Horst Abel, Al Shima, and Timothy Randerson. Plan Commissions, Dennis Steinbrenner, that's a reappointment. Police and Fire Commission, Michael Wellner, that is also a reappointment. And then Railroad Star Museum Board, reappointments of Matthew Schlesman, Catherine Egger, Courtney Hansen, and Angela Myers, and new appointments of Angie Circus and Natasha Khan. I can take a second to look through those if you have any questions, or if I'd look for a motion to approve, and then we can discuss if you'd like.
Motion to approve.
Motion second, discussion. Was you raising your hand, Alderman Monroe? Oh, okay, I didn't know if you were raising your hand. All those in favor then?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. We do, again, have a couple of openings yet. Consent agenda. Is there anything to be removed from the consent agenda? If not, I'd look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. We'll move to item I on the agenda for those following along, committee reports. And we will start with Committee of the Whole and Council President Bill Schley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The clerk has the documents.
Which one are you
Get it?
missing?
The one from tonight.
I gave that to you.
Did I get it? Oh, I'll find it. Okay. Document 1467 is the gravel pit with the recommendation to approve, to complete measurements of the 5 potable wells along County Highway CR, approve to move forward with plume delineation well nests, and approval to send to Common Council an amendment to the current AECom agreement for work for the time period June 1, 2024 to June 1, 2025.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
Move to approve the report.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1517 is an amendment to AECom agreement, supplemental task order, balance of 2024 services, former town of Newton gravel pit. Committee returns same, recommending approval.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
Move to approve the amendment.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1521 is a report of Special Events Committee recommending approval for a variety of events, subject to council action. Committee returns same, recommending approval.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
Move to approve the events.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1524 is residency disqualification of District 1 Alderperson Vanderkin. Committee returns same, recommending to accept applications for appointment for this position with a due date for applications of June 13th, 2024.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
Move to approve the report.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Alderman Schley.
I just want to say once again that I want to thank Alder Vanderkin for being the stand-up person that he was tonight and honoring his oath. And I wish him all the best, and who knows, we could see him back here sometime soon. Never know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Anything else, Alderman Schley?
Nothing else at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you. We will move then to the Finance Committee, and Alderman Jim Bry is chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The clerk has it, and hopefully we'll be done with the documents before we start discussing the 2025 budget this year.
Document 1440 is a first quarter 2024 claims report from the City Attorney's Office. Committee returns same, recommending to accept and place on file.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1442 is a cigarette, tobacco, and electronic vaping device retail license application for P. Berlin, DBA 920 CBD LLC. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the license.
Council pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1443 is a one-year operator's license for B. Newcomer. Committee returns same, recommending to deny the license.
Council pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1444 is a two-year operator's license for C. Tros. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the license.
Council pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1445 is a cigarette, tobacco, and electronic vaping device retail license application for KJ Court DBA Puff Stuff. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the license.
Council pleasure on this license.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1447 is a resolution from Manitowoc Public Utilities for Phase 4 of ornamental lighting at River Point Development. Committee returns same, recommending to adopt the resolution.
Council pleasure on this resolution.
Move for the adoption of the resolution, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1448 is a resolution from Manitowoc Public Utilities for ornamental lighting at York and Maritime. Committee returns same, recommending to adopt the resolution.
Council pleasure on this resolution.
Move for the adoption of the resolution, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1450 is a RAR West Art Museum Legacy Paper Program. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the program.
Council pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1478 is a request from Chuy's LLC for a temporary extension of premise for the sale of liquor and/or beer on the sidewalk area on the north side of Chuy's facing Buffalo Street on June 16th, 2024, from the hours of 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the request.
Council pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1479 is a request from Pet Skull Brewing for a temporary extension of premise for the sale of liquor and/or beer on the North 11th Street Boulevard between Buffalo Street and York Street on Tuesdays in June from 4:30 to 8:30 p.m. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the request.
Council pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1480 is a request from Pet Skull Brewing for a permanent extension of premise for the sale of liquor and/or beer on the Pet Skull leased grass lot on the corner of North 11th and Buffalo Street. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the request.
Council pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1481 is a request from Manitour Peddlers for a quadricycle pedal pub revised route. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the request.
Council pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1482 is a scope of engagement relative to proposed issuance of approximately $17,800,000 City of Manitowoc Sewerage System Revenue Bond Series 2024. Committee returns same to approve entering into the scope of engagement.
Council pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the, of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1504 is consideration of the final resolution regarding revenue bond financing for the Manitowoc Lutheran High School Federation Incorporated. Committee returns same, recommending to adopt the resolution.
Council pleasure on this resolution.
Move for the adoption of the resolution, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion. Alderman Bry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not that this is a great project, and I know there was a representative from Manitowoc Lutheran High School here before, so great project, but just want to reemphasize once again that even though this is a bonding resolution, there is no City of Manitowoc bonding proposal going behind it. It's used, the city of Manitowoc is used as a conduit for this financing, so it's a great project. We're happy to oblige and to work with it, but once again, no city money will be used with this, so.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. We're halfway there.
Document
Living on a prayer.
1507.
I was gonna
Is-
say, Mr. Bon Jovi.
Request from Chewy's LLC for a temporary extension of premise for the sale of liquor and/or beer on the sidewalk area on the north side of Chewy's facing Buffalo Street on June 22nd, 2024, from the hours of 4 to 10 p.m. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the request.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1511 is a Manitowoc Fire Rescue Department capital equipment purchasing plan reallocation. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the changes to the Manitowoc Fire Rescue Department capital equipment purchasing plan.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion second to discussion. Alderman Bryan.
I just quickly, I guess, thank you for, Mr. Mayor. We had this discussion quickly before, I shouldn't say quickly, but before the common council meeting tonight. Essentially, what's going to happen is that through the council, we'll be authorizing the fire department essentially to get another regular fire truck by 2025. Help me, chief, if I'm getting the dates wrong here. Okay, appreciate that. And this, it's still in the project limit, or should say projections, by 2027 we will have, and I like to always call it the old hook and ladder truck, but it's the ladder truck. I will always, I guess, going back to my emergency days from the 70s and stuff, hook and ladder. So some of you are laughing out there, so I don't feel so old. But anyways, it hasn't changed the money, we were proposing the same money proposal. There will have to be some borrowing or some additional levying, but that'll be coming. But the biggest thing is we'll be getting this fire truck, the normal fire truck, by 2025, which has actually been discussed about potentially being needed before that. So congratulations, and thank you very much for looking at this stuff continuously, because being in the public safety business, and I'm seeing I'm fire police chief as well, it's just a continuous process, and you guys do a great job of working with that, so thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Reckelberg.
I just want to interject that they did have a very nice PowerPoint presentation. It was short, sweet, and contained a lot of good information. I'm sorry I didn't get to judge yours, but I'll look it up later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman Reckelberg.
That was good.
That was good. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1512 is an agreement with the Wisconsin Department of Administration for Wisconsin Help for Homeowners Program. Committee returns same, recommending to enter into the agreement.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1513 is an ordinance to amend section 17.090 of the Manitowoc Municipal Code regulating water laterals. Committee returns same, recommending to adopt the ordinance.
Council, your pleasure on this ordinance.
Move to adopt the ordinance as amended, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1515 is an ordinance to amend section 12.110 of the Manitowoc Municipal Code regulating water laterals. Committee returns same, recommending to adopt the ordinance.
Council, your pleasure on this ordinance.
Move to adopt the ordinance as amended, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1516 is an ordinance to create section 12.120 of the Manitowoc Municipal Code regulating private lead service line replacement financing. Committee returns same, recommending to adopt the ordinance.
Council, your pleasure on this ordinance.
Move to adopt the ordinance, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Anything else, Alderman
Yes,
Bry?
quickly, two things if I can still speak, but the next Finance Committee will be Tuesday, June 4th, here in the Common Council Chambers at 5:30 PM. And I guess it's related financially, but this coming Thursday, May 23rd at 6 PM at the Metro Station, Washington Park, Mayor Nichols and myself will be having our annual, or semi-annual listing session, not section. We chose Washington Park, which is in the 4th District, which I think will be well. And if it is thunderstorms, rain like that, obviously we would postpone it. But potentially, I guess if it's a little rainstorm, we can at least go up on the Metro stage. So you're certainly welcome to attend. We'll be there for a while. We'll answer any questions or anything we can help with, and we'll go from there. So thank you again on all accounts tonight.
Thank you, Alderman Bry. We'll move then to the Personnel Committee, who has one document.
Thank you, Mr.
It's
Mayor.
Alderman Sidkowitz.
Yes, we don't have as many documents as Alder Bry had. However, ours does require a roll call vote, so, and the clerk has it.
Thank you.
Document 1477 is a resolution for seasonal employment of supervisory personnel relatives. Committee returns same, recommending to adopt the resolution.
Council, your pleasure on this resolution.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. If not, we'll have the clerk call the roll.
Beeman?
Aye.
DeBates?
Aye.
Cummings?
Aye.
Norrell?
Aye.
Bolt?
Aye.
Ruckelberg?
Aye.
Sikowitz?
Aye.
Bry?
Aye.
Schley?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Anything else, Alderman Sidkowitz?
That does complete our business. Our next regularly scheduled meeting will be Monday, June 3rd in council chambers at 5:30.
Thank you. Next up is Public Infrastructure Committee, and Alderman Mike Cummings is chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The clerk has the documents.
Document 1425 is a resolution to levy special assessments for sanitary sewer extension and grading and graveling on Summit Street and South 19th Street. Committee returns same, recommending adopting the resolution.
Council, your pleasure on this resolution.
I'll move for the adoption of the committee report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1426 is State Highway 42 Reconstruction Project, Washington Street and Calumet Avenue. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the staff recommendation.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1427 is an IRA Urban Forestry Grant Resolution. Committee recommending to amend to apply, accept, and if awarded, amend budget to whatever is awarded.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
I'll move for the adoption of the committee report, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second, but then I would like to amend.
Yep, there's a motion and a second, so discussion. Alderman Reckelberg.
Yeah, I would like to amend, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution in its original state. My intention at committee was to streamline the process by not only approving the application, but allowing for the acceptance and modification of the budget if funds were awarded. Having since made that amendment, I have learned that our finance department relies on the second or accepting resolution to keep track of our active grants. Had I knowledge of that process when our committee met, I would not have made the motion that I did. I would appreciate it if you would please approve my motion to adopt the resolution as it was originally presented at the committee level. Thank you.
It is quite the motion to amend. But it is a motion to amend, as Alder Reckelberg said. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second by Alderman Morel. So we're discussing the amendment now, which is back to the original resolution. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously, so that is now incorporated in the original motion. Alderman Sikowitz, you had your hand up.
Yeah, just a question, and it's a snarky one, but what type of trees are we getting with this dollars? And the reason why I ask is the funding is coming from the Inflation Reduction Act, and I'm wondering what trees reduce inflation. Right? I mean, the thing government spends money on drives me nuts.
So the grant itself does not specify what type of trees we want, but we would be coming off of our approved list that we have for the city. So, you know, we specify trees that don't grow too tall, so it does fit in with inflation reduction.
Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Thank you, Dan.
Take him down a notch.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1492 is a request to have Lincoln Park's tennis courts 1, 2, and 3 named after Robert Feller. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the request.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
I'll move for the adoption of the committee report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Alderman Cummings.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this got brought to us via email from the Friends of Robert Fellier and of the tennis program. But just want to kind of highlight, that just reading about him, he's been coaching for 50 years, and he's done 23 years of a camp. Put that in context. I'm 40 years old, so he was already coaching for 10 years before I was even born. So I could have, if I was into tennis, had tennis coaching from him literally my entire life. Being a fellow sports guy, obviously mine is football, but being a fellow sports guy, anybody that commits that much to the community for 50 years in one sport, that means probably thousands of kids over that year he's impacted. That deserves something named after him for this. And like I said, the more I read about it, the more I was just impressed just by the body of work throughout his entire life. So thank you, Robert, if you're listening. Thank you for all your service for the community and coaching and making an impact. So,
Thank
That's
you. Thank you, Alderman Cummings. Alderman Schley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've known Bob Feller for 51 years. He was a teacher of mine at Lincoln 51 years ago. That was his first year at Lincoln. And I want to apologize publicly for myself and my classmates making his life a living hell in his first year. But he turned out to be my favorite teacher in high school, a fantastic coach, as proven by his record, and a great friend all these years. Thank you, Bob, for your contributions to the city, and I wholeheartedly support this resolution, or this request, rather. Thank you.
Thank you. Clearly, that 1 year he wasn't coaching tennis clearly told him he needs to get into something to deal with your people.
Could be. He needed a hobby.
He needed a hobby. Needed something to get his mind off his day of the kids. Any further discussion? I wholeheartedly agree. Mr. Feller is awesome. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1493 is a temporary access easement agreement over unimproved right-of-way of South 12th Street and Vivon Street for parcel 715002080. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the agreement.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
move for the adoption of the committee report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1494 is a temporary access easement agreement over unimproved right-of-way of South 12th Street and Vivon Street for parcel 715002020. Committee returns same, recommending to approve the agreement.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1495 is an ordinance to amend section 8.230 of the Manitowoc Municipal Code regulating regulations of parks and related facilities. Committee returns same, recommending to adopt the ordinance.
Council, your pleasure on this ordinance.
Move for the adoption of the committee report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Anything else, Alderman Cummings?
That does conclude our business for this month, Mr. Mayor. Our next meeting is going to be on June 5th at 6:30 PM in council chambers.
Thank you. We move then to the Public Safety Committee, and Alderman Tim Bolt is chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The clerk has the documents.
We have document 1460, which is an ordinance to amend section 11.180 of the Municipal Code regulating commercial quadricycles or pedal pubs. Committee returns same, recommending to adopt as amended at committee to include Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. and federal holidays.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Move to approve the committee, or the ordinance for the committee's report. Sir.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
A motion second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1514 is an ordinance to amend section 10.390 of the Manitowoc Municipal Code regulating parking on Dewey Street. Committee returns same, recommending to adopt the ordinance.
Council, your pleasure on this ordinance.
Move to adopt the ordinance, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Anything else, Alderman Bolt?
No, Mr. Mayor, concludes what we have on the agenda. Our next meeting is June 10th at 5:30 at this location.
Thank you. We will then take up the two Plan Commission documents.
Document 1416 is a request to purchase city-owned property located on Riverview Drive, parcel 615-000-010. Plan Commission returns same, recommending to approve the request to purchase the city-owned property, instructs city staff to complete all facets of the transaction.
Council, your pleasure on this report.
Move for the adoption of the committee's report, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Alderman Bry.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Once again, if you just for knowledge out there, if you remember correctly, about within the last 6, 7 years ago, Alderman Coomer was still here when he represented District 5, but this is the property, the apartment complex that was on what would be the northern portion of Riverview Drive back behind, I guess, in that area. There was, when I was a kid, I used to deliver papers there. I know it's a story for historical times here about everything tonight, but I used to deliver papers there. It was an elderly housing development, but it became a housing project or for just a general housing, but there was problems there. Police were there. We eventually got it almost on the verge of condemnation, but it was sold, essentially was torn down, and the property was given to the city of Manitowoc. Fortunately, we have a welcome buyer to purchase that place, and they're gonna be putting up a nice little, housing development. They're not for themselves essentially, so it looks very good so once again, thank you to all involved. And this could have been it was a disaster for the residents of that area, but it certainly has cleared up, so thank you again.
Thank you. Well, I agree. It'll be a nice area, very nice area, addition to that area. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Document 1496 is an ordinance to rezone property located at 1710 and 1716 Western Avenue from R4 Single and Two Family Residential to B2 Neighborhood Business. Plan Commission returns same, recommending to adopt the ordinance.
Council, your pleasure on this ordinance.
Move to adopt the ordinance, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Is there any other business to come before the council at this time? If not, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned.